So it's that time again. It is a new month, and I'm going to share a tip under my new edition called Black Hair Love, because our hair is so high maintenance and it loves so much attention that we're going to give it all the love that it deserves. And this tip is talking about dandruff. Here in Antigua, maybe in other places, we like to call it the growing dandruff. Let's get into it. So you can see here in the video that I'm using aloe vera leaf directly on the scalp. As we go through this video some more, you're going to have a better idea about why I chose aloe vera in the conditioning process of her shampoo day. So a little background of dandruff is just a condition where the dead skin cells on your scalp flake off. It might flake off on your shoulder, it might flake off on your clothes. Now, dandruff is not dangerous. I personally, as a hairstylist, I do not like dandruff, even though all people might say, oh, dandruff is growing dandruff. Fine, I just don't want it on me or on my clients' hair. And so there's several causes for dandruff. You have dry skin dandruff, which I find most common in my clients. I mean, here in Antigua it's hot, the environment is dry, our skin dry out fast, and the same thing happens on our scalp. But that is not what is happening with this client from our initial consultation. So then the next option might be oily skin dandruff. So just below the surface of all of our skins are glands, and they produce an oily substance called sebum. Now they're there to moisturize and protect your skin. Now when these sebaceous glands produce too much sebum, it can make your hair oily. And then these excess oil, they clump up together, they irritate your skin, and they cause dandruff. Now if you're a person who typically have oily skin, I mean your face is very oily, your hands are very oily, your body is very oily, then you might be more prone to having oily skin dandruff. Okay, fine. But again, for this client that I was waiting for to do this edition of Black Hair Love may have a combination of oily skin dandruff and the next option, the third option. So the third option that I consider in the salon is a type of common fungus called Malaysia, and this is found on the skin of every human also. Now this type of dandruff is very common with people in oily skin. So in some people it can be triggered by inflammatory response that produces dandruff, or sometimes it can be other conditions such as eczema. So during our consultation, she was speaking about her son and how after birth she developed a lot of dry flakes on her skin, and her son also suffers from eczema. We also did an eyebrow test, and you could see some dandruff was in the eyebrows. So these fungus related dandruff tends to be a more severe form of oily skin dandruff, and in addition it tends to flake a lot more than dry skin dandruff. And if you have oily skin dandruff, there is something I use in the salon. I call it the sweet spot, because the dandruff is not necessarily spread around the entire head. They have sweet spots, like maybe just above the ear, or maybe directly at the back of the head at the center, or maybe at the two sides, on the two sides of the ear. And when you're parting the hair, of course you as the client won't be able to see that when you're doing your shampoo, but when someone is actually over your hair and they're removing that dandruff, you can see that area actually looking more inflamed, more red. The rest of the scalp looks like skin, nice and healthy, but that particular area tends to look very purpley or even red, because you can see that oil build up and all that inflammation. Bear in mind, Quinnell is not a doctor. but Quinnell only went to cosmetology school. And so what I am seeing and what I have learned is a combination of what I learned in cosmetology school and dealing with a lot of natural hair clients. You see it, the difference in dandruff is clear to the eyes once you can actually get someone to examine your scalp. So people with dry skin dandruff, I do not see that discoloration in the scalp. Now we can maybe get another video on how we treat the dry skin dandruff, which is pretty simple. You moisturize your hair, but what I want to pay more attention to is this fungus related dandruff or even the oily skin dandruff. So hence the reason why I'm using aloe vera on this customer here, this client, because aloe vera can reduce the oil buildup on our hair. Now my golden rule as a Black Caribbean hairstylist is I do not promote frequent washing, because most of my clients suffer from dry hair dandruff, and I feel like unless you have a really good deep conditioning shampoo, there's absolutely no reason why you should be washing your hair every week. I tell my customers once a month is a good goal for hygiene for hair in Antigua and Barbuda. Now if you're a customer who's suffering from oily hair dandruff or fungus related dandruff, it is important that you wash your hair more frequent. It could be suggested, depending on how severe the dandruff is, maybe twice a month, so every other week. Or if it's severe and you're really trying to reduce the fungus, then once a week. When trying to treat dandruff at home, I find the error is removing the dandruff that is currently stuck onto the scalp. So you might think, oh my goodness, my dandruff is growing back so quickly. But the most important thing is to get the old dandruff removed during the shampoo service. So that's why I always believe that if a person is suffering with chronic dandruff, it is important, especially if it is fungus related, to get your hair washed by a professional so that they can properly remove the dandruff and give you a proper regimen to start and see if that works. So a lot of time, if we have oily skin, in our moisturizing routine for our face, we love salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is very good for breaking down layers of thick skin on your scalp, and so if you can find a shampoo that has that ingredient, salicylic acid shampoo, that can really help at home while you're doing your weekly shampoos. So if you're coming in to me, I am only going to see you maybe once a month. Going to be required that you wash your hair weekly, then you're going to need something that is going to help when you're not in the shop. So the first process would be get your salicylic acid shampoo. The second step, use your natural aloe vera in your conditioning step along with whatever conditioner that you like. And then on the third step, leave-in treatment, I still like to go in with something that is going to moisturize the scalp. So something a little bit more healthier. So it's like shea butter. It is not as oily, but at least it is more conditioning. And then you can use peppermint for its anti-inflammatory properties. So you kind of use this maybe once a week just to keep the skin on the scalp healthy and reduce the amount of oils. So we're not going to use so much of the castor oil or heavier thick oils. So that's what you see we're doing here with our customer. I wanted to put particular emphasis on aloe vera because it's natural, it is free, and it is a great way of curtailing dandruff. But for this client, we're in the observation stage of her hair journey. So I already gave her tips for her to try. We're going to see if those things work. If she comes back and we still have chronic dandruff issues, then we're going to try something different. So she already has her plan. She already know what she has to do weekly. We're just gonna watch it and see what happens. One thing I forgot to add is, if you're going to treat your dandruff at home, please get one of these tools. They're like scalp scrubbers, so it really gets in there to lift those dandruff off the scalp. If you can get help, get someone to lift the dandruff off your scalp first before you start your washing process, and then you use the scalp scrubber, which is going to feel like a beautiful massage, and that will help to remove the old dandruff from your hair, and then you start your treatment. The rest of this video is just me styling the hair, so enjoy the process to see her curls come to life, juicy and bouncy.